So today we are very fortunate to have Jagdish Pandit Prabhuji with amongst us from Murbilamba, Australia, to glorify our Guru Vargas, our Srila Gurudev on his centennial year. So Prabhuji met devotees in 1987 for the first time, which inspired him on this path of devotion. And thereafter he received Harinam in 1991 and Diksha in 1994 from Nitila Pravishtom Vishnupad Astodasa Srimad Jipad Gurgovind Maharaji. So, and his wife Yashomati Didi, and sons Vaman Das and Gopal Haridas, daughter Gauri, Lalita Dasi are all devotees. Such a beautiful family. And all of them are following Srila Gurudev's teaching very sincerely and walking on this very sweet path. So today we are going to hear from Prabhuji how in 87 he met devotees for the first time, what was the experience, how he met Pujapad Gauragovind Maharaj and some glories about him also, and then how he met Srila Gurudev, what was his leelas with Srila Gurudev, his personal memories, interactions with him, and how he sweetly touched his life and gave him blessings and helped him progress on this path of bhajan and gain some realization on this path. So Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, we are very eager to hear from you. There is no time limit. You don't have to worry about time at all. Just go on and tell us everything. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So first I'd like to offer my pranams to my eternal Guru Varga, beginning with Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Pudale Srimati Gaur Govinda Swami Itanamane, and to my Shiksha Guru Srila Bhakti-Vedanta Narayana Gosvami Maharaj, Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Prapmane Sriman Bhakti-Vedanta Narayana Goswami Itanamane, and to my Grand Guru, the love of my life, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to his Guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the Lion Guru, and to Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, my uncle, wonderful, wonderful Vaishnav that I got the association of, so sweet, so humble. And to Haridas Babaji Maharaj, who probably you've never heard before, who was, his great-great-great-grandfather was the exalted Shivananda Sain in Mahaprabhu's pastime. Oh. And to other Vaishnavas that I've met along the way, who was a beam light, like the lighthouse that stops us crashing into the rocks. They're like the beaming light that stops us from falling into the clutches of the shark-like Maya that is just always ready to devour us in so many ways, like the crocodile, the python, the snakes. And so they're the greatest boon. And I'd like to start by first reading the translation of this song that I just sung. Nice. And then I want to show you the boss of the house. He's a very big boss, and I'll show you in a minute. Oh. So, O Vaishnava Thakur, you an ocean of mercy, being compassionate upon this servant, purify me by giving me the shade of your feet, of which I take hold. Help me to subdue the 6 urges and purify my 6 faults. Bestow upon this servant the 6 qualities of a devotee and give me the 6 kinds of devotional association. I am waiting in hope of attaining your association. Alone, I do not have the strength to perform Harinam Sankirtan. Being kind and giving me just 1 drop of faith, bestow upon me the priceless treasure of Krishna Nam. Actually, when Mahaprabhu left home, he told Sachi Mother, I'm going out to make dana, wealth. He says, but oh mother, I'm not going out to make the wealth of this world, mother. I'm going out to attain this Krishna Nam, what is it? Dana, Krishna Nam Dana, the wealth, the valuable wealth of love of God. He said, this is my wealth. So that should be our thing, how to get this invaluable wealth. Krishna is yours, so you have the power to give Krishna. I am only a beggar running behind you, calling out, Krishna, Krishna. Actually, Srila Narayana tells a story. of how there was a rich king, and Narada Muni, I think, came and saw him one day and said, "Oh, king, you'll soon go to heaven." And he was so excited. And he said, "But there's a problem there. There's mosquitoes there. But there's one good thing. If you can, that mosquito net in the heaven, it's ripped. So do one thing. When you die, you take with you a needle and a thread, and then you can go there and repair it." So he thought, how will I take a needle and thread? So the king was thinking, I cannot take. So then Narada Muni said, yes, in this world you've accumulated so much material possessions, but when you leave this world, you can't even take a needle and thread with you. So Srila Narayana would tell that story quite often, that we endeavor so much in this world to get so many things, but we should constantly think we can't take not even a piece of cotton with us, or a needle, or nothing. Okay, I'm just going to show you my house, which is, I tried my best to make it a temple. So I'm just going to show you. First, we're going to see Lord Nrsingadev, my protector. He's Ugra Nrsinga. There's 7 forms of Nrsinga. There's Lakshmi Nrsinga, Prahlad Nrsinga, Ugra Nrsinga, Shanta Nrsinga, Ugra Nrsinga. So this is Ugra Nrsinga, very angry, killing Hiranyakashipu, and there's Prahlad down there trying to pacify him. And we have Lakshmi and Saraswati, goddess of learning and wealth. Then over here we have Radha and Krishna. One devotee carved these deities in Orissa. This is Orissan style. Very beautiful, very beautiful Orissan style deities. And we have my wife's mother's deities that she got in Vrindavan many years ago, maybe 30 years ago. And then my gorgeous little Gaunitai that were carved.
Wow, beautiful.
By a carver that's been generation after generation carving Jagannath.
I like the way you have dressed them.
Yeah, it's a little bit cold here, so my wife made this, and made these clothes too for them.
Yeah. Especially Gaunitai, like they are coming out of a flower. It looks so beautiful.
Yeah, and they're dancing. This form, one hand up and one hand down, they're dancing.
Nice.
The dancing form. I won't disturb them, but one hand is down.
Yeah.
And then I have Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra.
Yeah.
These aren't ordinary deities. These deities were carved out of a tree that was planted by Balaram Das 500 years ago, and he predicted one day Vaishnavas will come and cut down this tree and make deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. So that tree stood there from 500 years, from just after the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when they cut down the tree, that smell from the tree was more than any perfume combined together on planet Earth. It was an intoxicating aroma coming from this giant neem tree, which I smelt, and it was just, no smell is available like that. You smelt it, you became like intoxicated. So, and a king cobra was guarding that tree, and it had all the symbols, the chakra. It was an amazing experience. So these deities were carved out of that wood. You can see they're very exquisite. And then I have Gurudev up here. I also have Buddha Dev. You can see so beautiful Buddha. Maybe I was a Buddhist in my last life, but I love the teachings of Lord Buddha. Ahimsa, equal vision, compassion. He's one of the avatars. People say, oh, you know, why are you worshiping Lord Buddha? Well, he's God. But our Ishta Deva, and there's Garuda Ji, so beautiful. Wow. Garuda. Yeah. Who else? You can see my house. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. My Guru Maharaj's shoes that he wore prior to leaving this world. He wore these shoes for about a year. And yeah, that's one devotee. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Disciple of Gurudev in Navadvip. he's an artist. So if you contact me, I'll send you his details. He's beautiful paintings. He's as good as Shamarani,
Wow.
in my opinion. Very beautiful paintings.
These are hand painted by her?
No, these are hand painted by one disciple of Srila Gurudev.
Oh, what is the name?
I can't remember, but he does a lot of paintings in Mayapur. All the paintings in Mayapur for the ISKCON, he does them. But he's an amazing artist. And he told me about this painting here, Mother Yasoda embracing Krishna. And he told me the story, this really beautiful story. He said, here it looks like Krishna's taking shelter of Mother Yasoda.
Yes.
But actually, that's not true. Mother Yasoda is taking shelter of Krishna. I thought that's such a beautiful explanation.
Yes.
I also have Lord Shiva here. Also, my bread is here, ready to be baked. Okay, I make really nice bread. I started making bread from when I was 5 years of age with my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
So,
You got
also spent,
you got whole Golok Vrindavan with you and Shivalok also.
Yeah.
All the deities are with you, around you. So
very
nice.
peaceful. I was also a cook in the Gurukul for 1 year in Mayapur, which was really nice. Cook for the boys there. Every day we'd cook 9 preparations for lunch. For breakfast, I used to make a 20-liter bucket of yogurt for the boys every day.
Oh.
And sprouts and gorbadam. Anyway, so I welcome you into Krishna's house. I'm just a guest here. Like my Guru Maharaj says, I'm just like a watchdog watching your property. He said, I'm like a guard, up 2, 3, 4, up to just guarding your property. He said, what's Srila Govinda Swami used to say, what's Krishna's property, you're claiming to be yours. Therefore, you're a great criminal, for which you deserve to be put in the prison house of Maya. So my life began, I was like everyone else, we're in this world, we're thinking, what is the goal of life? You know, what is it all about? And I had a friend and she was a clairvoyant and she was like very famous, you know, and she was telling me that Sai Baba is God. And if you want, you can go and meet God.
Who is God?
Sai Baba.
Sai Baba, okay.
Sai Baba in Puttapatti in India, near Bangalore. So I thought, okay. And she was telling me he does miracles, he cures people and people coming from all over the world. So I thought, wow, if God's there, let me go and meet him. Because my family were very religious. My father was an altar boy when he was young in Italy. He used to open the church and ring the bell. He was very religious. And we have a thing with the Christians, they carry the Virgin Mary and they do a festival like Rath Yatra. The Christians do a similar thing with the Virgin Mary. So
are you Italian originally?
Italian, I'm Italian.
You can speak Italian?
Parlo Italiano.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So then my uncle also was a cardinal on the Pope's staff in the Vatican. So it seemed like a family, a religious Christian, strong Christian family. And I used to go to church every Sunday with my grandmother and my mother and my brother. We'd walk to church like maybe 2 kilometers. We'd walk to church every Sunday. And when I was at school, I used to go to church every day, you know, just by myself to pray to Jesus. I wanted to always meet Jesus. From a small child, I had a desire to meet Jesus. I never had a desire to be rich and all these things. In fact, in my school, I came last. I came second last in my whole school, but I came first in religion. I came first in metalwork and I came first in woodwork, but I failed everything else. I thought it has no meaning to me. So, but I was interested in religion and crafts. It made sense, but commerce, history, geography, maths, it didn't have any interest for me. And so from a small boy, I developed a desire to meet Jesus. And I thought one day I'll meet Jesus. You know, as a kid, you can have any dream you want.
Yes.
So when I heard that Sai Baba was God, I thought, let me go and meet him. So when I went there, I stayed in his ashram for a couple of weeks. I became a vegetarian and I heard about the 4 religious principles. But when I saw him, I thought, if he's God, why is he so ugly? You know, it just didn't. I thought God couldn't. Maybe he's taken on this form just to bewilder people. So I was 30 at the time, and then this little old lady took me to an astrologer, and this astrologer told me so many amazing things. He was telling me how in my last life I was a yogi. I made some mistake, therefore I took birth in India, but it's written today you will come here, and where you left off from last life, you will begin from today. So he was telling me all these amazing things. And he was telling me your previous 100 births are written in these manuscripts. So I thought, this is all madness. How could this be? Anyway, so he told me a lot of things. And after 2 weeks, I was living in an ISKCON temple in Madras, first in Bangalore, then Madras. And then I was living in Bombay temple. Then I came back to Australia, and my parents thought I'd gone mad. So they got a psychiatrist, an Indian psychiatrist, to come and speak with me. And all I did was preach to him about Krishna, and because he was a Hindu, he was just listening. And so he was useless because he was a Hindu. He already believed in Krishna, so that didn't work. And then 2 days later, I moved into the temple in Australia, in North Sydney, and I stayed there for some years. And then I heard that you have to get a guru. So I went to India and I started looking for a guru, and I asked different devotees, who's a guru, who's like Prabhupada. I wanted someone like Prabhupada because I fell in love with Prabhupada's movement. I wanted a guru as just like Prabhupada. And I'd met some of the gurus, the initiating gurus, but they didn't really capture my heart other than people glorifying them like he's the closest, he's a real acharya, this and that, but never touched my heart. And then in 1991 in Mayapur in Gorpanim time, I met Srila Govindaswami, and I was making these gorbadams with peanuts and gura. And I took it to many of the sannyasis as a present. You know, you give things away as a present. I was giving to the Guru Cook. So I took to them, and I took to him, and I said, Maharaj, what service should I do? Where should I live? This and that. You know, like you don't know what to do with your life, even in spiritual life. What service should I do? Where should I live? What should I do? And my Guru Maharaj, with a loud, roaring voice, he wasn't my Gurudev then, I just met him. He said, accept a bona fide Guru and surrender to him. Yelled at me. Scared the living day. I was so scared after that. I was speechless. I couldn't speak. And so I left. I left, and like a tape recorder, it went inside my heart. For hours after that, I sat down, I was, accept a bona fide guru and surrendered to him. Accept, who is a bona fide guru? So I went to Jananivas, and I asked him, who should I take initiation from? And he said, I don't know. And then I asked him, if you have to take sannyas, who will you take from? I thought I'd trick him, but he wouldn't tell me. And then I asked Subhakswami. Subhakswami, real sadhu. So I thought, okay, Subhakswami, he'll be able to help me. At that time, he wasn't initiating. I said, Maharaj, who should I accept initiation from? He said, you accept from Govindaswami. He's a sadhu. He said, he's very simple. And then he whispered to me, he said, he's not like the others. He's not like the others. He said, you go. He lives in a simple hut, and you stay there with him. So I took his advice, and I went, and I stayed 6 months with Srila Govindaswami, and I could see that Srila Govindaswami was definitely not like the others. He was living in a hut, and he was very kind to me, so encouraging. Actually, the last day my Guru Maharaj was on the planet, he told his godbrother, the heart of a Vaishnava is all encouraging. The heart of a Vaishnava is all encouraging. And I saw that in him. He was very encouraging. One day I was in the room with him, and there was some Indian devotees that came to see him. And I just wanted to be around my Gurudev. And my Guru Maharaj with folded hands, and he said, please excuse me, they've come to see me. I beg excuse. And I thought, wow. I started to believe that I was important, because in the material world, no one gives you any respect. You know, even your own family members, they just put you down. No one gives you any respect. So my Guru Maharaj was giving so much respect, and I started to think, maybe I'm someone that's worth something in life. So he had that ability to make you feel like you were special and important. So I stayed there for 6 months. I heard the amazing classes you give on Bhagavatam, 3-hour classes every morning. And he never missed Mangalati. He'd come up the steps, even though he'd come up with a walking stick. And he had some problem with one leg. But I could see that he was not an ordinary person like the others. And shortly, I was there. I came there in February. I came there in January or February of 1991. And at that time, it was Rath Yatra. And the devotees were saying, oh, Gurudev said we have to do Snan Punima. Not Snan Punima. When they go around the pond for 21 days, what's that called?
Snan Yatra, right?
Snan Yatra.
Yeah.
Snan Yatra, that's right, Snan Yatra. So it was Snan Yatra time, that's right. And that's like about April, isn't it? The hot time of the year, like May,
Yes.
April.
Yes, yes.
So it's the hottest time of the year. And so for 21 days, they go around the pond. So what happened one morning, Krishna Balaram came to my Gurudev and told him, you're doing our Rath Yatra, you're doing our Snan Yatra, but you're not doing the Snan, Chandan Yatra. Chandan Yatra, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Chandan Yatra,
Yes.
where they put Chandan on the Lord and they go
Yes.
on the boating festival. You don't do our Chandan Yatra. So that was in the early morning. Krishna Balaram came, and then my Guru Maharaj called the devotees and said, you should organize to make a pond, build a boat, organize people to sing and dance for the pleasure of the Lord. So that day they bought a big blow-up pond, out of plastic, filled it up with water, and one of the devotees there, with the carpenter's help, they built a boat. And from that day, they started to do Chandan Yatra. And they brought people to dance every day. There were the Goti Chur dances, the boys dressed up like girls dancing, very amazing dances in Orissa. They're very famous for that. Gotipur dances.
Mm-hmm.
So they were dancing, and every night they sing Gita Govinda. And I thought, wow, that's amazing how Krishna and Balaram are coming and telling my Gurudev stuff. Another time I was in front of I used to help my Guru Maharaj do pranams, and he was in front of the Jagannath doing pranams, and he became very upset, and he called a pujari, and he started abusing the pujari, and I became scared because Gurudev would be chastised something. You think, wow, I hope I haven't done something wrong. So then he told the pujari, Jagannath Sutta, I think his name was Jagannath, something like Jagannath Sutta. He said, Jagannath Setu, something like that. So he started chastising me in Oriya. I don't speak Oriya. So I asked devotees, why is he so upset? Because that pujari was so quiet. He never gossiped with anyone, took prasad by himself, did his seva. Very, very quiet devotee. His brother was also living there, both initiated. So that they said Subhadra lodged a complaint against him, that he's not dressing her nicely, he's not putting the nose ring on, like she has a nose ring, didn't put the nose ring on, and doing things. And my Guru Maharaj chastised me, don't do like this again. Subhadra Devi lodging complaint against you. I was there, I never heard Subhadra lodging any complaint. So Gurudev was a real mystic, he could speak with the Lord and know the Lord. Another time he became upset with the pujari looking after Srila Prabhupada. And I found out the Gurudev hit him actually. Prabhupada lodging complaint that they used to bring the remnants of the Radha Krishna to Prabhupada, and from Jagannath they give remnants to Prabhupada after the deities are taken. And Prabhupada had a cup of water on his desk, and the complaint was that the pujari wasn't changing the water of Prabhupada. So Prabhupada would come and he said, I'm always with Prabhupada. He's always speaking with me. He says, if you're really surrendered to your Guru will also speak with you. He said, when they say, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajar Asta,
Astota Satsu.
Shri Charan Vishnu Param. When they say that the mantra where the gurus departed, he said, I don't like that. My guru is always here. Why are you saying departed?
Oh,
So he never liked
Nitya
it.
Pravist.
Oh, Nitya Leela, sorry.
Yes.
Nitya Leela. He said,
Pravist.
why are you saying Nitya Leela? Nitya Leela Pravista Om. He says, why are you saying Nitya Leela? My Gurudev is always here. Why are you saying he's gone? He's not gone. He's here with me constantly. So we learned so many intricate things, the science of spiritual life, very intricate points. Like I was listening to I recorded 400 classes of my Gurudev, and I listened to them. I tried to every day listen to a little bit. And today my Guru Maharaj was speaking about the importance of sadhu sangha, which is the whole reason that we're having all these things to glorify the sadhus and the importance of sadhu sangha. And when the Prachetas spent 60,000 years under the water, I mean, you've got a lot to think about. You know, even if you spend one day by yourself in a room, you can think of a lot of things. Imagine 60,000 years under the water. You've got more than enough time to think. So after 60,000 years under the water, what do they come with? We only want one boon. Bhagavat Sangha Sangasya, the association of sadhu constantly. That was the only boon. And so for us, mortal souls of this material world, only one boon is there, sadhu sangha. How to have more and more sadhu sangha. And my Guru Maharaj used to say that if your hair's on fire, what will you do? You'll run here and there. Where is water? Where is water? Where is water? He says in the same way, we're like in a frying pan, frying in this Adi Atmika, Adi Devika, Adi Bhaktika, the cycle of birth and death, the horrible material world. So what should we do? We should be running. Where is sadhu? Where is sadhu? Where is sadhu? Because he will extinguish that blazing fire of material existence. He used to say that the Samsara Dara prayers, that when we sing Samsara Dava Nadalita Loka, the water, we're speaking about this water. What is this water? That water is called Prem Jala. And where is that Prem Jala? Where do you get it? It's with Gurudev. And he said, even if you have the ability to travel to the spiritual world, even you have the ability to travel to the spiritual world and go to Krishna, and you ask Krishna, oh Krishna, please give me this Prem Jala, this water of Prem, of love. Krishna will say, Adi Baba, I have nothing. I've kept it all with my dear devotee. So the Gurudev is a custodian of this Prem Jala. And just like in a forest fire, you need torrential rain to put out the fire. A bucket of water is not going to do it. You need a heavy downfall. So to put out this blazing forest fire of material existence within our heart, we need this Prem Jala. He was just, and then he went on to say that to dissipate the darkness of this planet, the sun is needed. When it's dark, you cannot see. So you need the light of the sun to dissipate the darkness. But how do you dissipate the darkness of ignorance prevailing in the heart? He used to ask this question, how do you prevail that ignorance prevailing in the heart? He said, that is done through hearing from the lips of a sadhu. So hearing is very, very important. And he'd say, Sukadev Goswami heard. So Sukadev Goswami spoke, Pariksit Maharaj heard, along with the 88,000 sages, and it's a hearing process. We're coming in a hearing process. And the first main teaching of this Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam Kirtanam, first hear, then you can do Kirtan. Without hearing, what Kirtan will you do? My Guru Maharaj used to say, you'll only do my Kirtan. You won't do the Kirtan of Gora and Guru. You'll only do Maya Kirtan. So first you hear. And today, in today's class, I was hearing that you follow the order of the Guru as it is. He says, if you don't follow the order of the Guru, you'll only fulfill what you want to do. He said, that is not service. He says, service begins when you go to Guru and say, Gurudev, how can I serve you? And also today he was speaking about hearing with rapt attention. hearing with rapt attention. You know the story of Gokana. You know the story of Gokana, how there was a king and he wanted to have a son, but his wife couldn't have a child. So then he went to the sadhu and he said to this sadhu, if you don't help me, I'll commit suicide. So the sadhu gave him a mango. And he brought it home and gave it to the queen and said, if you take this mango, then you'll have a child. But she thought, if I become pregnant, I'll have a big stomach. I don't want that. So she gave that mango to the cow. And so the cow gave birth to this Gokana, who was part human and had the ears of a cow. And then they had her sister had a child. And so she raised that child as her own. And he was very wicked. He was a very wicked person. He'd go with prostitutes. He'd do so many things. Finally, the prostitutes, they killed him by pouring hot coal down him. And they killed him. And he became a ghost. And so when he became a ghost, he went to his brother and said, you should help me. And finally, his brother said, I've tried so many things. Now let's hear Bhagavatam. So then for 7 days, he said, you stay in this bamboo. And for 7 days, he heard the Bhagavatam. And each day, 7 days, one of the notches of the bamboo would break. And then at the end of the 7 days, that very sinful person who came as his half brother, he went back to the spiritual world. And at that meeting, there were many people also hearing, and they saw that he went back to the spiritual world, he got liberation, and they came and they said to Gokana, why is it that your sinful brother, he became delivered and we're not sinful? Why is it we didn't get delivered? And what was the answer? You're not listening. Yes. You're not listening with rapt attention. So then they all listened with rapt attention, and then they also became delivered. I wanted to share with you something that happened with Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. I would often go and visit Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. I first met him in Mayapur, probably in 1991 or 92. Very beautiful sadhu. And I used to visit him in Puri because I was living in the ashram there in Dandabanga, where Mahaprabhu's danda was broken. Along with my godbrother, we were trying to develop that ashram for like about 20 years after my Guru Maharaj left. So after 96, when my Guru Maharaj left, we got the land there and we were trying to develop it with like nice gardens and things. And so one day, I was having some problem, not one day, I'm always having problem with spiritual life, but one day I was disturbed, my mind was disturbed, and I thought perhaps I've done some Vaishnava parade, because I always heard you shouldn't do Vaishnava parade. And so I thought maybe I've offended someone. So I went to Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj and I said, Maharaj, I'm having problems with my spiritual life. I think I've committed Vaishnava parade. And Puri Maharaj said, no, you haven't committed Vaishnava parade, you've committed Nama parade. Oh. And I said, Nama parade? And he said, yes. He says, your aparad is inattentive chanting. For this, you're having problems with your spiritual life. So he's like a spiritual scientist, you know. I went there with thinking I have one disease, but he told me, no, your disease is different. So my Guru Maharaj used to say, the Guru is a Guru Vaidya. He's a physician on the science of love of God. He knows your disease. He knows what your disease is. Like my Guru Maharaj used to tell me, Jagadish, you have so much lust in your heart. He says, it's not one lifetime, Baba, many lifetimes, many lifetimes. So this disease, he said, Rudroga is the worst kind of disease. There's Rudroga disease. Yeah, we made a book about it. It's called The Formidable Foe. It's about the consequence of lust. So my Guru Maharaj, one day, he came to class and he says, today I'm quoting from the newspaper. So he told a story from the newspaper, and then after the class, I'll tell you the story that he told. So it was a story of a husband and wife, they got married, and he said it was a custom that every now and again, the daughter would go to the house of the father, because in Vedic culture, the daughter was always very attached to the father, and the father very attached to his daughter. He said, this is Vedic culture. So every now and again, she'd go back to the father's house and spend a little bit of time there, and then go back and live with her husband and children, whatever. So one day she went there to the father's house, and the husband was so lusty, he also came there. So of a night time, he was feeling so lost, he wanted to have sex with his wife. And the two brothers there, they said, no, you have to sleep in another room. This is not culture. You cannot do like that. You cannot do like that here. So he became so angry, that man, that he killed both her brothers, killed both of the brothers. And then when the father came there and saw that his son-in-law had killed both of his sons, he became furious. You imagine, you're a father, both your sons are dead. So he got the plow, you know, the plow that you plow the things with, heavy plow. He got that plow and he killed his son-in-law. So my Guru Maharaj tells, this is a consequence of lust. A man can do anything. He's blinded by lust. So then after the class, my Guru Maharaj said, Jagadish, he said, you put this in a book. You transcribe it and put it in a book. So we made a book, and you can, I don't know how you can get that book. I don't know.
Formidable Fall, right?
The Formidable Foe, I think it's called. The Formidable Foe. Very beautiful. He gave he quoted two stories from the newspaper. He was laughing. He says, today I'm quoting from the newspaper. So that's all of us here in the material world. We all have this lust in the heart, and the only cure is sadhu sangha. That's what he was saying in today's class that I was hearing when I dropped the kids off to school, that the sadhu's words will cure everything if we just hear with rapt attention and have firm faith in the words of the Guru. I love the stories that my Guru Maharaj used to tell, and I think, you know, because we don't have like great memories, like maybe some devotees do. I don't have great memories to remember slokas. Like I hear Prabhupada every day. I have that box that you can buy of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It has 3,000 classes in it, and I listen to it morning and evening, and I just cannot believe, how is it possible that Srila Prabhupada knows all these verses, Sanskrit verses, so fluently? On every subject matter, he has a sloka. So I'm not like that. I'm like a bit of a, maybe coming from Sudra background. I can remember stories. So my Guru Maharaj tells the story of the mother-in-law.
Prabhuji, even if you do not remember anything, not even the stories and the shlokas, but if you follow a little bit, you are better than all of them. It depends what you follow, actually.
Yeah. I wish I could remember. I mean, in my next life, I want to be a little bit like Srila Prabhupada and be able to remember these slokas, because it's more ammunition to, you fill your heart with these slokas. It's so nice, so nice. And it's evidence, you know, everything he says, he backs it up. Like one day my Guru Maharaj was saying, what is this verse? And one devotee, he's now Jayantakrit. He was Jayantakrit, now he's, I don't know his sannyas name, from France. But at that time he wasn't a sannyasi, Jayantakrit. And he quoted the English of this verse nicely, but he couldn't quote the Sanskrit. And my Guru Maharaj says, don't listen to him, he's a cheater. If he cannot quote the authority, don't listen to him. So my Guru Maharaj used to tell us, if you don't know the verse, don't tell him that you're my disciple, thereby you give me a bad name. So he said, if you preach, you should back up with the sloka.
It is required for preaching, but not for your own sadhana. For your own sadhana,
No.
But for preaching, it is must. Without shloka, you cannot preach, because they need evidence. Nobody will get affected because your realization is yours. So yeah.
That's right. And that's what Srila Narayana, he used to train up all these brahmacharis and learning the slokas. He'd get them to get up and then he'd say, sit down. Then he'd correct them all.
True.
So my Guru Maharaj tell this really nice story of the mother-in-law and the father-in-law. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, they went to hear a sadhu. So when they went to hear that sadhu, there was a tidal river. And when they went in the morning time, it was knee deep. So then they went and heard from this sadhu. And one of the main teachings of the sadhu was that if one takes shelter of Lord Hari, then very easily he'll cross the insurmountable ocean of birth and death as insignificant as stepping over the water that is contained in the hoof print left in the mud by a calf. So when a calf or cow puts its foot in muddy water and it fills up with water, stepping over that is considered taking shelter of Lord Hari. Easily you'll cross over the insurmountable ocean of birth and death. So they both heard, and when they came back, that tidal river was up to the neck. So then they went to cross, and the mother-in-law, she said, it's too dangerous to cross. And the daughter-in-law said to the mother-in-law, no, it's not dangerous. You chant Hari, 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 and easily we'll cross it. If we can cross the insurmountable ocean of birth and death, what's this river? That sadhu said, have faith in Hari. So she was chanting with her arms up, Hari, 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 and she crossed. Very easily she crossed. And when she got to the other side, the daughter-in-law, young girl, just newly married, she said to her mother-in-law, oh, mother-in-law, come, chant Hari, Hari. What happened? That mother-in-law became so angry. You rascal, who are you? You're instructing me? Come and help me cross. So my Guru Maharaj, he'd ask the question, why is it the daughter-in-law put faith in that sadhu, but the mother-in-law couldn't? What is the reason? You know, Ajay Prabhu, what is the reason?
Yeah, maybe she didn't hear properly, and sanskar, you have your own sanskars. Like some people, they don't have faith in anything. They are designed like this. They're always.
No, they both heard. Both of them heard. Both heard from the sadhu. But why the daughter-in-law put faith and the mother-in-law could not put faith? That's the question.
So what's the answer? I don't know.
The answer is because the daughter-in-law had a simple heart. And the mother-in-law, she was a little bit crooked. And in the words of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he tells, better to remain in the species of insects, birds, animals, and other living entities than come to the human form of life and have duplicity in your heart. And he used to describe that in the heart, where there's duplicity, there are two things are there. The lover and the prostitute. The lover is name, fame, adoration, distinction, and the prostitute is crooked. So where there's kapacha, crookedness in the heart, then the lover is there, name, fame, adoration, distinction. So while these things are dancing in your heart, my Guru Maharaj will quote this from the teachings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. He said, then we cannot become devotees. And therefore the conclusion of Bhaktisiddhanta and my Guru Maharaj was that not only simplicity is needed, but childlike simplicity is needed. Not only simplicity, but childlike simplicity is necessary. Like with the small kids, like I have 3 small kids. I married late. My daughter is 7 years of age. So I tell her something and she believes it. She's just a little kid. But when my Guru Maharaj used to say, when you were small children, you believed. But when you grow up, you become very suspicious. And in the words of Srila Maharaj, Bhakti Raksha Srila Maharaj, what does he say? Suspicion leads to suspension. Have you heard that before?
No.
Suspicion leads to suspension. He used to quote that. And my Guru Maharaj would say that if a thief comes and tells your little kid, oh, kid, come here, and he wants to steal his jewels, the kid will immediately come. He's very simple-hearted. He'll come, oh, yes, they're calling. But if you call an adult and that adult doesn't know you, you know, and you say, oh, come here, my friend, come here. They'll think, who is he? He's got a beard. What does he want? I've never seen him before. We'll have so much doubt in our heart and suspicion. But a small child will not have that. Will not have. Even sometimes I go shopping and I see small kids and I go to her, oh, what are you going to buy? Oh, what's your name? Where do you go to school? Where do you live? I'm a stranger, got a beard, but the little kid, they answer you. They don't have that thing that he's a stranger, you know? So this simplicity for us Vaishnavas is really, really necessary. My Guru Maharaj would say very often, doubt and criticism is not bhakti at all. Is not bhakti at all. And we find in the Vaishnava communities around the world, unfortunate that so much bitchiness is there, so much backbiting, you know, fault finding. My Guru Maharaj used to say, write a list, write everyone's name on the planet on that list, and write your name last. Where's the question of pride, Baba? You're at the end of the list. And he was saying that see good in others and find fault in yourself. But he said, no, normally what we do is we see good in ourselves and find fault with everyone else, isn't it? See good in everyone else is bad, but I'm good. And then he said there's four visions. The first vision is a person sees good in others. The second vision is a person sees the bad in others. Only sees bad and glorifies the bad. Only sees the good and glorifies the good. The third sees the good and the bad, glorifies both. He's good at this, he's bad as that. And the last one is, and this is only for a sadhu, can have the last vision, not possible for normal people. And he's saying that if a person is all bad qualities, he has no good qualities, but some slight good quality is there, the sadhu will only look at that quality and fan it and glorify it like anything, make it into something very big. He said, this is sadhu. And you can see with the Gurudev and all of us, they're coming from such an exalted platform. I mean, we're full of faults, but they're always encouraging, always encouraging. Like my Guru Maharaj said, the heart of a Vaishnava is all encouraging. I'd like to tell you when the first time I met Srila Narayana Maharaj, I first heard the teachings of him from Raghava Pandit. Raghava Pandit was the first person to do books of Srila Govinda Swami. He transcribed Bhakti No Punya, the last limit of Bhakti, and Guru Vandana, the Guru Tattva book, very beautiful book of the prayers of Vishnavat Chakravarti Thakur. So he used to take my Guru Maharaj's books to Srila Narayana Maharaj and bring back Srila Narayana Maharaj's books to Srila Govinda Swami. And they used to read each other's books. And I thought, wow, that's unusual because Srila Narayana Maharaj is not ISKCON. We would, you know better than me, ISKCON, not ISKCON. But I thought, wow, they love each other. Well, that's unusual. So my Guru Maharaj, I personally saw him reading the book and feeling some joy. He had him in his library there, like he had a bookcase there and he had his books there. Then after my Guru Maharaj left, many of my godbrothers, they went to Srila Narayana Maharaj, and Raghava Pandit, he told me about one of the classes that stood out to him in America was that karma means you hitting yourself. And Srila Narayana Maharaj gave the example, if you have your hand and you're slapping yourself in your face, he says, who can you blame? Because your hand is hitting yourself. So he's saying karma means you doing it to yourself. You do. Even my wife today, I've been married to her for 14 years. She still cannot believe that karma. She's still saying, I'm good. I couldn't have done anything bad. So this concept of believing in karma is such a high thing as well. We've heard so many things, but how many people believe, yes, I deserve this? You know, we all think, I don't deserve this. I'm good. No, we've done so many bad things. So that really struck me. Wow, that's an amazing concept. Me hitting myself as karma. So I thought, yeah, I'd like to hear what else he's got to say. So I went to Vrindavan, and it was, I think, a Gorpanim time of 1997. The first time I met him. Or was it 96? It was 96 or 97, I can't remember. And the first thing that struck me about Srila Narayana, his Superman X-ray vision eyes, his blue eyes, they just go through you to your heart. It was kind of scary, that just that look for even 1 second. It's like he could see everything, and it's like, wow. Anyone that's seen Srila Gurudev looking at you, they all know what I'm saying. They all know. It was just that look. And I spent some time with him there, and then in 97 he came. 96, I think he came to Australia. So then he came for the first tour to Australia, and I came and I got like a darshan with him. And the first thing I sat down, the darshan, Srila Narayana, Srila Gurudev, he grabbed my dhoti. I had a saffron dhoti on, came right up to me and said, "Don't take off this cloth." And my heart like practically missed the beat. He was so heavy. That's the first thing he ever said to me, "Don't take off this cloth." And years later, I met my wife. I wasn't spending as much time as I should have with Srila Gurudev, and I'd already married my wife, and I took my wife to meet Srila Gurudev here in Australia, and that was in early 2011 or something like that. Can't remember what year it was. Maybe 2008, maybe. Anyway, I took my wife in, and Gurudev was really angry with my wife. He says, "Why have you taken Jagadisa? He's my brahmachari. You have no right over him. You should go back to Russia, marry someone else." He was so heavy with her. And wow, that my wife just didn't know what to do. I was a bit confused. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have listened to Gurudev. You know, that's it. I became weak, and anyway, Gurudev said I should leave this wife. I should leave her, but I didn't. I didn't follow his order. I feel bad. If I could have gone back in time again, perhaps I would have listened to him. But the Guru, he knows what's best for us. Anyway, that was 2 experiences I had with Gurudev. I used to massage him also, you know, wherever he was, I'd massage him. It was wonderful to be in the same room as him and massage him. I don't know if many devotees got that opportunity, but to be there and massage him, and even after all the devotees stopped massaging him, and Gurudev would he'd sit with one leg on top of the other, like in a yogi pose. He was very subtle, like, you know what I mean, not cross-legged. He put one knee on top of the other knee like this.
Yes.
Now, like the Indians sit.
Yes.
You know, like, I'll show you, like this.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Gurudev would sit like this.
Yeah.
And then I continued to massage his back, you know, because he was just wonderful just to touch Gurudev, you know, to touch the body of a great devotee, you know. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. And I could ask him any question, and yeah, they were very fond moments in my life. Another time when we were in Melbourne, he was staying in one devotee's house. I went there, and usually you knock on the door, the servant comes there. And I knocked on the door. Guess who came to the door?
Gurudev came himself.
I opened the door. He was with his gamsha, and he said, "What do you want?"
Cool.
He said, "I've come to see you, Gurudev." And he says, "Why have you come?" Then he let me in, and he got his hand and he pinned me against the wall.
Oh.
He said, "Do you know? I used to be a policeman." So yeah, Gurudev was like, he had a funny sense of humor too. He wasn't all serious. He was also like a father, you know. That's something that the father would do with his son. I used to be a policeman. Anyway, then I went in and I spoke to him, and then I massaged him there. I got to travel with him in so many places. I went to Hawaii. It was a wonderful experience there, going swimming in the ocean with Gurudev. You know, it's like you thought you were never going to die. You're never going to get sick. You're never going to get old. Being with Gurudev was just the most incredible time. When he came here to Mawulambar, the first time he was here, he stayed here for 3 weeks. And I had the good fortune to massage him as well as to cook for the devotees. You know, there was about 350 devotees that came to the festival. They just came from everywhere to meet Srila Gurudev. And it was that festival, you thought that you'd entered another planet. The Harikatha was so amazing. They made a book about it, the Harikatha from 1996. I can't remember the name of that book, but you can buy that book, find out what it was called. But those classes were so good. And we were staying on Brajaballabha Prabhu's property. He has a 5-acre property with a river, a creek running through it. So it was hot that time. The devotees were taking bath in the river. It was like a heavenly planet festival. That's all I can say. And yeah, the Harikatha, the intimacies. He'd go on a morning walk. To go on the morning walks with Gurudev was just the most amazing time. You know, Maya could not touch anyone at that time. It was just, you felt so safe. So the morning walks were there, then the classes, and then the darshans as well. I remember one devotee, the son was initiated by Gurudev, the mother was initiated by Gurudev, and then the grandmother came, and I think he also initiated her as well. And she didn't know much about spiritual life. They're New Zealanders. And Dainidhi is the son, Premavati is the mother, and I don't know the mother's name. But I remember Gurudev came up to her one day and he said, one day you'll see Krishna and Balaram will want to sit on your lap. And she didn't know much about spiritual life, but just these few words, I saw she started to cry. So Gurudev could make anyone's heart melt. When we were in America, there was at Los Angeles airport, there was one of these tourist promoter there in the form of a woman in a bikini and with a sachet on, promoting tourism in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the Maharajas there was preaching to her, and then she brought it to Gurudev. And the Maharaji said, oh, Gurudev, this girl wants to ask a question. And Gurudev said, yes, she may ask. What is your question? And she says, I've always had fear of death. I've always had fear of death. And then Gurudev answered in such an amazing way. He said, don't fear, don't fear. And so encouraging, the Krishna is there. You are soul. There's no death for the soul. And so many sweet things he was saying that this dolly bird, this beauty queen girl, tears just started rolling down her cheeks. Doesn't know anything about spiritual life, thinks that she's a body. Just a few words melted this girl's heart. And I looked around and so many devotees were also crying. They're also crying. There was another devotee too. He was, his father was a Prabhupada disciple. Can't remember the devotee's name. Gora something, Gaurapran Prabhu. He was the main person that built the temple in Rupsanat and Gaudiya Math. He collected for that temple. Anyway, he had a son, and that son was also quite big, and he was having problems with his spiritual life. And Gurudev said, okay, you could not chant 16 rounds, no harm. You chant 4 rounds a day. You chant 4 rounds a day, and just encouraging words. And you can't imagine this tough guy, really tough, like bodybuilder, just started to break down. He just couldn't help himself. So tough looking, but 1-2 words from Gurudev and he was finished, completely finished. And Gurudev was so kind to everyone, like a father, only encouraging. He didn't want money from us. He just wanted us to become Krishna conscious. Like he used to say, I've captured my heart, I've captured your heart, and I've kept it in my pocket. I will not give it back. So he said, I've come here to capture hearts. Gurudev also, I met him and I traveled to Holland with him, to France, to Bhajan, to Bali, Australia, India, Singapore, Malaysia. I went on a lot of tours with Gurudev, so I was very fortunate to spend quite a good stretch of time with him traveling. And in different places, he told different things. Like, I forgot the story I was going to tell you there, but then I remembered another one. We were in Singapore. We were staying at this very wealthy Indian's house. You know, he had an apartment. He had an apartment for the devotees, and then Gurudev stayed with him. And Gurudev found out that we were all joking, you know. And, with so many devotees together, what do? You joke around. So we were joking. I was also cooking. Wherever I went, I used to cook. So remember, I cooked a big thing of pasta. They used to love my pasta. Even my kids, last night I cooked pasta. My boy said, "Papa, your pasta is so good." And my little daughter, the other day I made pasta and said, "Papa, don't cook so good anymore because I eat too much and I get a sore stomach. So don't cook so good anymore." My daughter was complaining, "If you cook so nicely, I eat too much, I get a sore stomach." So devotees like my pasta that I cook, and we were joking around and everything. It came to the attention of Gurudev. And in that night's class, he was very upset with us, a little bit angry with everyone. And he said, "Don't joke, don't joke." And he said, the tongue has no backbone. The tongue has no back. It can say anything it wants. And he said, so many problems are caused in life only by the tongue. He said, even jokingly, don't joke. So he gave a really heavy class about controlling the tongue and not joking around a lot, you know, because it goes against bhakti, joking around. Of course, when Gurudev was joking around, that's different. He's of a, when we do it, it's all mundane. And one time also in Mathura, was it Mathura? No, it was in Vrindavan. It was in Vrindavan. And the devotees were doing kirtan, and then they stopped singing, and they were just doing them, and just playing the instruments and getting pleasure from playing the instruments. As soon as Gurudev heard that, he came out of his room. Wow, he was so angry with all the brahmacharis and started beating a couple of them. So Gurudev was very strict, very strict. Also, when we were in Bali, he was speaking about, discussing with us about the kirtan. He said that devotees do kirtan, but they're bashing the gong and the wampas. He said, this is not kirtan. He said, why do we have instruments? Do you know the reason why we have instruments and where it comes from?
Tell us.
He's saying that the original instrument was the ankle bells of the gopis. Wow. And they put their feet on the ground only to keep towel. It's only towel. He said the cartels are like the ankle bells of the gopis, are keeping the towel. So he said the instrument should never be louder than the singing. It's only for keeping towel. So I thought, wow, that's amazing. Because if you've been, Prabhu, I don't know if you've been, but on the parikrams in Vrindavan, you know, Kartik and the Gopanim parakram, the brahmacharis, they get the big wampas and whom, whom, whom. It's so loud. It's so loud. You know, sometimes okay, but sometimes it's just, and in the temple, it's so loud. But Gurudev used to say, and you hear his kirtans.
Yeah.
His kirtans are very sweet, very sweet. We were there in, he recorded that album with Krishna Das in one devotee's house, had a sound studio. And Gurudev he recorded there, and Krishna Das also recorded in that sound studio. And if you hear those kirtans, they're very sweet. There's no banging of loud instruments. And even in the temple here, you know, sometimes the devotees get so, I have to leave the room, it just hurts my ears. So he's saying kirtan should be very sweet for the pleasure of the Lord. And my Gurudev, Srila Govinda Swami, he used to say, whose kirtan are you doing? Maya's kirtan or Krishna's kirtan? Are you doing it for your pleasure or are you doing it for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga? So we should be very careful who we do kirtan for. Oh, look at me. I have such a good voice. I can do tit tit ta. Gurudev used to say tat tat te. Look at my mridanga playing. I'm so expert. So he was, and who was it? Trivikram Maharaj. He used to I heard he used to purposely sing out of tune because he was saying that kirtan shouldn't all be about like nice singing. It should be about bhav. It's a kirtan means the soul's crying for the Lord. It's our like these prayers are the song of Vaishnav Thakur. That's Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, but it's a song for us to cry out to the Lord that look at me, you know, I'm like, we want to be the calling behind you, Pachi Pachi, or Krishna, I'm calling behind you. What is that? I'm like your dog, you know, there's another one, or Gurudev, I am your kukura. I'm here to, you know, I'm your kukura, so I'm your dog. My Guru Maharaj used to say that there's two types of dogs in this world. There's a street dog and there's a dog that has a master. He says the dog that has a master, he's always there. The master is there to protect him. If another dog comes, the master is there. But a street dog, he's vulnerable. Anyone can attack him. So he says, we're the dog of the Guru. And this is our leash. We have put on neck beads and we've become the property of Gurudev and Krishna. So we are the dog of Guru. We should always remember that we are not the property, that we don't belong to us. We belong to Guru and Krishna. My Guru Maharaj used to say, go before Gaura Nitai and with an open heart, with a clean heart, you tell Gaura Nitai, oh Krishna, I am yours and you are mine. I am yours and you are mine. He says, but what are we doing? We're thinking, my wife is mine, my kids are mine, my kinsmen are mine, my bank balance is mine, my property is mine, my land is mine, my everything, wealth is mine. He said, this is a disease. Aham mameti, I and mine. These are the diseases. So I'm sharing with you today the lessons that I've learned from the sadhus. One sadhu I met before I became initiated was in 1988 in Vrindavan. I was in Radhakund, and one devotee was there from Puri, and his father was a pujari in Jagannath Puri temple, and his son, the pujari that I was with, he was fluent in 5 languages. He could speak Sanskrit, Bengali, Hindi, Orisian, and English. Very, very learned devotee, very, very sweet brahmachari. He didn't look at me as being Italian or Western. He saw me just like a brother, which was, you don't know about this, but when, you know, not only myself, but others, some of the, you know, the Indian brahmacharis, they look down on you as being like, you know, they won't even let you serve in the temple. When I used to come on the parikrama, we wanted to serve. They wouldn't even let us serve. So it's not everyone that has that vision that we're all brothers. Like one of my Gurudev's main teachings was Vasudev Kutumbakam. Vasudev Kutumbakam means one family. So what story was I telling? So yeah, I was with this brahmachari, and he said, I'll take you to see one sadhu. He's 102 years of age, and he just does bhajan, and he lives in a little house. So he took me there. The room was so small. I don't know how physically this sadhu can live there. A tiny, tiny, tiny little room, incredibly tiny room. And there was a few of us. It was myself, that brahmachari, and maybe 1 or 2 others. We were doing like a mini parakram in Radhakund. And we went in there, and that devotee said, oh, Maharaj, some devotees are here to see you. And he was chanting and like looking up, just chanting. Nothing. He didn't move. He's still like this, chanting. And he says, Maharaj, there's some devotees here to see you. And also that there was some tears coming down his eyes. And then gradually he just looked around. He just looked around. Then he looked at us. And then finally he realized, oh, there's someone in the room. He was definitely somewhere else chanting. And I asked him, Maharaj, how can I progress in spiritual life? I'm just, just became a devotee 1 year back. What should I do? What instruction can you give me? And this old sadhu, 102 years of age, he said, for you, you should first develop a relationship with the deity form of the Lord. That's what he told me. You should develop a relationship with the deity form of the Lord. So that's one of the first instructions I got from a sadhu, and he's probably the first real sadhu I ever met in my life, because after meeting him, I could feel something extraordinary just being in his presence. So that was I think probably, at least in this lifetime, the first time I ever had sadhu sangha. He was a real sadhu, chanting, tears pouring down, didn't even know we were in the room. So that was a very wonderful experience that I had. I want to tell you about Haridas Saint Babaji Maharaj. In 1996, when my Gurudev left this planet, before he left, he told us that Mahaprabhu's inconceivable Leela Pitta will come on our way to render service. He told that to my godbrother, and my Guru Maharaj said that I should work with my godbrother. So after my Gurudev left, myself and my godbrother, we were looking for to start an ashram, because there was so much inner fighting. When the Guru leaves, there's so much in-house fighting, It's just normal power struggle, whatever. And we wanted just to, my godbrother wanted to leave home. Satyananda Prabhu, his name. He wanted to leave home. And I wanted to live, in a nice place in India, maybe Puri. So we were looking to buy land there or get land donated to us. So we went to one place, and my godbrother was very well known as being, a sadhu. He was in the government before, and he knew a lot of people. So one of the temples nearby to Jagannath Puri main temple, probably 1 block away, they wanted to give that temple to my godbrother, Satyananda Prabhu, and we looked at it, and it was a little bit run down, but it was an ancient monastery, and they wanted to give everything to us, the care of the deities and everything. And my godbrother was thinking, there's only you and me, how are we going to look after the deities? So he didn't accept it. But after some time, what happened is my godbrother's mother, she was blind, but she's definitely a Sudha Vaishnavi. She was like, what can I tell you about her? She's another great Vaishnavi. Sometimes she'd be in prayer for hours at a time, hours. She had calluses on her knees from kneeling. She'd be kneeling like this for hours at a time, not moving. And I'd ask her son, what is she doing? She says, oh, she's in Samadhi. She's in Leela. I thought, what Leela? I was somewhat skeptical. But I had some experiences with her where she knew everything. And I thought, wow, how is it she knows everything? So one day I said, oh, mother, what Leela are you saying? She says, these things should never be told. They're not cheap things. Why are you asking? She became a little bit annoyed with me. And I said to her, but I'm calling you mother and you've accepted me like a son. So cannot a son ask his mother something? How the son will learn if the mother doesn't help? And her heart melted. She says, oh, if you're asking like that, then I'll tell you. She said, today I saw the Leela, Mother Yasoda chasing Krishna. And he says, Mother Yasoda is a little bit fatty. She's a little bit big. And Krishna, he's very lean and he runs in a zigzag way. So Mother Yasoda chasing Krishna and Krishna going like this and that. And the cowherd boys in the bushes, they're making fun of Mother Yasoda. They're teasing Mother Yasoda and they're telling her, oh, you can't bind our canoe, you can't bind our canoe, you can't. They're singing this to Mother Yasoda, this Leela I'm seeing today. So I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing, that this personality is seeing this Leela. And any spiritual question I had, I used to ask her. And my Guru Maharaj said about her to my godbrother, he said, your mother is a Sudha Vaishnav. She's a pure devotee of the Lord. So that was confirmed by my Gurudev too. Anyway,
is she there still? Is she still there? Sorry, I can't hear you. You're, I think, mute. Wait, you can.
Sorry, she had deities of Jagat Baladev Subhadra. So what happened? Those deities became so old, she wanted to put them in the holy river. So there's one holy river in near Puri. It's where the Dandabanga was broken. Where anyway, so we put the deities in the holy river there, and she was lamenting that night. Oh, Jagannath, you've gone. I cannot live without you. The next morning at 5:30 in the morning, one sadhu knocks on my godbrother's house and said, I have the deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra for you. I've been instructed by the Lord to come here and give these deities to you. And then he invited them in, and they told the whole story that the Navakalavara, the Navakalavara that I went to of 1996, I went to that Navakalavara where they changed the body of Jagannath. The one before that was 20 years before. So what happened when they cut down the Dadu Brahma, that tree, the wooden form of Jagannath, then whatever wood's left, the Pandas used to take some of that wood and carve deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra out of them for themselves. So one of the pujaris, they carved the deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra for themselves. But what happened after some time, they were seeing the deities weren't so happy. And also other devotees would come to the house and they'd see the deities, oh, Jagannath doesn't look so happy. So this went on for quite a number of years. And finally, the Jagannath came in a dream and said, we want to go to Dandabanga, where the Leela, where Mahaprabhu's Danda was broken by Nityananda Prabhu. So they tried to find out who was in charge of that ashram, and they found out my godbrother was doing that ashram, and they came to his house. And that was a day after my godbrother's mother's deity were put in the holy river.
Wow.
So those deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra were carved out of the original tree that Jagannath and Jagannath Puri was carved out of. So then they were in his home for some time, and then those deities came to Dandabanga. So then after some time, we didn't have the Dandabanga ashram then. It was just starting. But before those deities came, one sadhu came to my godbrother's house, and his name was Harikatha Sain Babaji Maharaj. He left this world when he was 96. And the day before he left this world, Harikatha Sain Babaji Maharaj, he called the pujari and told, tomorrow I'm going to leave this world. I've been informed by Radha Vinod Bahari. His deities were also self-manifested deities. It's the same sort of story, how Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra were half carved and then the carver disappeared. His deities were carved in the similar sort of way 300 years ago. So they're kind of self-manifested deities from a big stone found in a lake. Anyway, so Radha Vinod Bahari, his worshipful deities, came to him and said, tomorrow early morning you will leave this body, more than likely by an accident. So he called the pujaris and said, I want you to manage like this. I want my samadhi like this, everything he told. And then they thought, oh, if we put him to bed, how is he going to have an accident? So by 1 a.m, they put him, Maharaj, they escorted him, you go to bed, we're going now. Lie down. He got up at 3:30 in the morning to drink water. He slipped, they hit his head, and he left his body by an accident. And that day was Gaur Punim. That was a Gaur Punim day. So Harikatha Sain Babaji Maharaj, to me, he was a walking Vyasadeva. The brahmacharis used to have a joke, and what was that joke? Maharaj ate all the Vedas. They're all inside his stomach. And I had my personal experience. He knew every verse of the Bhagavatam by heart. And he knew every verse of the Chaitanya Charitamrita by heart. He wrote a book on Shalagram Shila worship 900-page book. And yeah, he was a walking Vyasadeva to me. Yeah, he really was. He was very, very learned. He knew astrology. He knew Ayurvedic medicine. And he was like a lawyer as well. He knew all the law. In fact, when the materialistic people wanted to turn Siddha Bakul into a tourist venture to extract money, then they nearly succeeded, and Haridas Babaji Maharaj single-handedly took them to court and defeated them and made a trust that no one can take over Siddha Bakul. It should be always as an ashram, independent from, outside, people trying to manipulate it for money. So he was expert at all these things. And he came to my godbrother's house and said, I've been ordered to come here on the order of Radhavino Bahari, your Gurudev, Srila Govinda Swami, and Srila Prabhupada. They've told me to come here, that you will help to develop this ashram. So then we went there. When we saw this place, it was a really terrible place. It was just a stool field and criminals were there, and it was all barbed wire, and there was all these thorny bushes growing there. And we went there and thought, wow, what is here? It's just like a really bad place. It's a stool field. And he says, you don't do anything. You only become an instrument. Mahaprabhu will do everything else. So within a few years, we purchased the land by the help of Shivaram Swami. And a beautiful ashram came up there. You can go to Dandabanga website, Dandabanga Lila Kunja Ashram, and you'll see it's just become a beautiful place. So I had the good fortune of also spending time with Haridas Sain Babaji Maharaj, and he was like very, very sober. When he wasn't speaking, he was very grave. He was just like very grave. But when you started to speak about Krishna, oh, he just light up like a Christmas tree. He was so happy. Sometimes I'd spend, when he used to come from Puri to Bhuvaneshwara.
What is the name of the ashram, Prabhuji? Dandabanga?
Dandabanga Lila Kunja Ashram.
Lila Kunja, okay.
Lila Kunja Ashram. And it's not an ISKCON temple, because ISKCON we were part of ISKCON, but there was some bitchiness, some how can I put it? The ISKCON rule was you cannot worship your guru on the altar. So we had made a big deity of Srila Govinda Swami and put him on the altar with Srila Prabhupada. And we also had a room with Srila Govinda Swami deity and Srila Prabhupada. And it was a GBC ruling that no temple can do that. And also, yeah, they made some conspiracy, whatever they do. And we had to remove the ISKCON sign from our temple, which was very sad, very sad. So, and so that happened. So he used to come sometimes to ISKCON Bhuvaneshwara on the way to Mahanga. So he'd stop off there and then he'd spend the night there at the temple and then go to Mahanga, which is about 100 kilometers away from our temple. And he'd get a bus there and I'd take him down and put him on the bus. 90-year-old man, you put him on the bus, And he never wore shoes, never wore a shirt, just wore simple cloth and just a chadar here. Very simple, very simple. So sometimes I'd sleep with him in the guest house. He'd be in one bed, I'd be in the other. And he'd always share prasad with me. He'd always bring prasad from the temple. Very kind-hearted, looked after me like his own son. And at 3:30 in the morning, guess what he used to do?
Right now?
Get out of bed and start singing and dancing at 3:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Radha Vino Bihari, Radha Vino Bihari Radhe. And just start singing all these bhajans. And he had a beautiful singing voice. Nastika Brahmachari, never lost a drop of semen in his life. He had a very beautiful singing voice when he used to sing. And many villagers will come and hear him sing. When they do the festivals, that hundreds and hundreds of people will come and hear him sing. So also one day we went to his ashram in Mahanga, ancient monastery, and he said in his guru's time, that monastery had about 300 devotees living there. But when his guru left, and then gradually one by one, they also left. So we went there and he invited us for prasadam. So he personally laid out the leaves and he fed us, like he served us. At that time, probably he was in his 90s when he did that. So a 90-year-old, he struggles to get up and down. My father's 92. He needs a wheel thing to move. He can't, you know, he needs support. Babaji Maharaj never had a stick, so he could still walk. His back was straighter than this chair. I mean, a piece of wood would be crooked compared to his back. His back was completely straight. His shoulders were like this. They weren't down. He was like this, completely. I can't even. He always used to say, sit straight. He used to tell me, sit straight, and he always say, very fickle-minded. Very. Sometimes asking questions. He says, why are you asking this question? He says, this is just Sanskritification. So he was really good. He was like another father for me. So he'd serve us with his hand and he'd say, something more, something more. And then, yeah. So that was Haridas saying Babaji Maharaj. One day I was quoting, reading a verse from the Bhagavad, and he had thick glasses. His eyesight wasn't so good. He used to wear thick glasses. He didn't always had them on. He'd take them off, but to read he'd have. And I was reciting the Sanskrit, but I'm not so good at reciting Sanskrit, you know. So as I was reciting it, he was reciting the whole verse before me, like trying to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a random verse from the Bhagavatam. Then another time, I was asking about religion, about the Muslims and the Christians. And he said, the religion is tick, but interpretation is not right. Mm-hmm. And then he said something really amazing. He said, if it's in the Bible, and it's in the Vedas, we accept it. If it's in the Bible and it's not in the Vedas, we don't accept it, but we don't criticize it. And I thought, well, he didn't speak so much, but whatever he spoke was very powerful, very powerful. He told, when you chant of a morning, before you chant, you tell your mind, oh mind, leave me alone. This is my time of chanting, don't disturb me. First, you tell your mind, don't disturb me. And he was saying how before chanting 3 lakhs of Harinam, Haridas Thakur, you know what he used to do? Mm-hmm. You know, Prabhu?
No, I don't know.
Have you been to Siddha Bakul?
Yes, many times.
Which deities are there on the altar?
I think Nitai God? I'm not sure.
Who else?
Sorry?
Who's on the altar? There's Radha Krishna at Nitai Gaur, I think. The last
Nitai.
order, the first altar is Lord Nrsingadev.
Oh, okay.
There's an Nrsingadev in the front, and there's an Nrsingadev behind the temple as well.
Okay.
So before chanting the 3 lakhs, Haridas Thakur would pray to Lord Nrsingadev to protect his bhajan.
Oh.
So he said, before chanting, you should always pray to Lord Nrsingadev to protect your bhajan. And what's that prayer? Oh, may I get love for Radha and Krishna. That's what he used to, that's what Haridas Thakur used to pray for. And Haridas saying, Babaji Maharaj, he told us that this was an activity, this was the sadhana that Haridas Thakur used to do. And this Haridas saying, Babaji Maharaj, we went to his ashram, and I think he showed us the original handwritten Chaitanya Charitamrita written by his great-great-grandfather, Shivananda Sain. Oh. And he said, there's 2 ways that they've changed the Chaitanya Charitamrita from the original. And he said, I can show you where they've changed. He said, one is to enhance the meaning. He said, that's acceptable if they're adding to the beauty of the Leela of Mahaprabhu. But the other is to take away from the meaning. He said, this is very wrong. And he said, I'm scared one day they would change the Chaitanya Charitamrita and read it. He said, this is my big fear in life. He was a real Chaitanya man. And he knew every verse of the Hari Bhakti Vilas by heart. He was like a genius, a real genius. And he was telling us one day, the incense you're offering, where is it in Sastra? Where is it in Sastra? Show me. He said, this is not Sastra. The incense sticks. He said, this is not Sastra. He said, that's not how you do it. He says, according to Hari Bhakti Vilas, you have to do it out of cotton. You know cotton?
Yeah.
You know how you do the ghee lamps? He says, you get the cotton and you roll it in Google. You know Google?
You make a dhoop out of it without the stick. There is no stick inside, only the thing which burns, right?
Only that, and you roll it in Google. Okay. And then he said, take a pencil and paper and write this down. And he gave us the name of 19 ingredients or 18 ingredients. He says, you buy them all and I'll show you how to make the incense. So we bought all them and he says, you crush them like that. And he didn't like look at the book and say, yeah, it's this one. He just told us, he just knew. Like I said, the Brahmachari said he ate all the Vedas. So we made that incense out of rolling it, you know. And I don't know if you've ever smelled Google. It's like frankincense. It's a resin of a tree.
Oh. Very
beautiful smell. So that was Haridas Sain Babaji Maharaj. He was just like so wonderful to be with. He was like, not disturbed by anything in life. He was very sober, a real sadhu, very fortunate to have got his association. And I don't know how much longer I should speak. I think I've been speaking for about an hour now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 8 o'clock here in India. So it's going to be 2 hours very soon, in 10 minutes.
Oh, I've spoken for 2 hours.
No, hour and 45 minutes now, I think, total.
Oh,
yeah.
There's so much to glorify the sadhus. They're just like the thing that I got most from all the sadhus I met. You know what it is, Prabhu? Sorry,
Prabhu?
The main thing that I got from all these great sadhus, our Guru Varga that I met, these sadhus, you know, the main thing that I got from them? What was the main thing you got from Gurudev?
I got so many things. I got my life. I got my Harinam. I got love. I got Sadhu Sangha. I got excitement. I got everything. I got my life, actually.
So that's the thing. That's what I got, the love and affection.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You know, when I first joined the temple in North Sydney, Australia, I walked into the temple. They didn't know who I was. They didn't know that I'd already met the devotees and decided to come and live in the temple. That's why I'd come there. And I came there, and there was one devotee there from New Zealand, not from New Zealand, from Fiji. He was half Fijian and half European. And they were all devotees sitting on the ground taking prasadam. And I walked in, and I felt a little bit shy, you know, they're all taking, I don't know them. And he immediately got up and embraced me, gave me a big hug, and then got me, sat me down, went and washed his hands, came back, bought me a plate and served me. And I thought, that's it. That's where I want to live my life. I thought to myself, my brother, I slept in the same bed as my brother for 10 years. My brother never embraced me. I don't think my brother has ever embraced me. Now, sometimes I meet him, he embraces me. But to be embraced by devotee and that love and affection, we don't know what is love and affection in the material world. So we've learned that from the sadhus, you know, they're only giving. In the material world, everyone is only taking.
Taking, absolutely.
And everyone only wants to talk about themselves, you know. They don't want to glorify how wonderful the sadhus are, what contribution. My Guru Maharaj used to say, had there not have been sun and moon, this world would have met with an untimely death. In the same way, without the sadhu, this Krishna samsara would also meet with an untimely death. So he said the sadhus are always here. And he said an owl-like person who's in the hollow of a tree, he'll say, where is sadhu, where is sadhu? Because he's an owl, he's not coming out to the sunlight. So we're like owl-like people. If we say there is no sadhu, he said sadhu is always there. but do you have the eyes to see a sadhu? And he said, if you're really crying in the heart, Krishna will organize to meet a sadhu. And he said, Krishna will either send one of two sadhus, Maya sadhu or Krishna sadhu. The guru sent by Krishna or the guru sent by Maya. So should I end there, Prabhu?
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much. It was really wonderful, and it was so nice to know that you have met so many sadhus living in a far land like Australia, but so lucky to have met such elevated souls, which is not very easy for anyone to do this. It's very difficult to get human birth, but more difficult is to meet a sadhu.
Very true.
Said in Shastras, but you are so fortunate, I would say, to have met so many of them, and not only met, and you have also taken shelter of them, learned from them, made your life so beautiful, and you spoke really nice. You started with Krishna Nam Dhan, which is a real dhan actually, like Meera said, Payoji Maine Ram Ratan Dhan Payo. She was a queen, but she said that is not my real wealth. My wealth is the name which I got from my guru. So yeah, and you are from a family of pious religious Christians. You started like this, which shows in your talk and the way you spoke, and which also shows the way your life moved, because you have a very nice sanskar from previous births. You used to go to church every day, desired to meet Jesus, and I'm sure you met him in different forms now.
Oh, definitely. My Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, much greater than Jesus.
So your desire has come true, and you were expert religion and craft, then other subjects you told. Then you've been to Bangalore, Madras, Mumbai, Indian psychiatrist you met. And the first meeting with your Gurudev was really wonderful. I mean, who meets a Gurudev like this? He yelled at you.
Wow,
Accept a bona fide guru and surrender to him. So what instruction, and what a perfect instruction. And yes, your Gurudev was like that. I heard him in some of the audios, and it pierces your heart. He was strong. He will shout. He will wake you up from your sleep. He will jolt you. He was sadhu like that. Yes.
yeah.
And he was never like soft and meek. Like our Gurudev was a little different. He was very sweet, sometimes joking, sometimes very close. But Gaurav Maharaj was like hard. He would strike on the head really hard.
Oh, he hit me so many times on my head.
Oh, really?
In one class, Prabhu, in one class, he hit me. One devotee counted 22 or 23 times. He hit me on my head and gave me a lump.
I think you got real mercy from him.
Then one devotee asked him, what is the philosophy behind hitting Jagadisa on the head?
Yeah, what
and
he
my Guru Maharaj said, if you cannot get Krishna, better to die if you cannot get Krishna.
I remember his speech once. He was talking about Radharani, how Radharani is Guru of Krishna. So he said Krishna is the original Guru in our parampara, but Radharani is his Guru. So she can make him do whatever she likes. Then suddenly he was sitting in the audience. He asked one of the audience, get up. So that guy was wondering, like, what should I do? He said, get up, hold your ears. You're not following your Gurudev. Then he held his ear and he got up. He said, sit down. Then he sat down. Then get up. Then he got up. Then you know what he said? See, Guru can make his disciple do whatever he wants. So similarly, Radharani can make Krishna do whatever she likes. So these kind of practical examples he would give. He was so much immersed in Bhajan, and he was a real realized person. And you're so fortunate to have met him and stayed with him for a real long time. So we've heard so many stories about him, how he left this world doing kirtan in Mayapur, and so many of them. Yeah, it was.
Yes, I wasn't there when he left. I was ironing his clothes when he left.
Sorry, you were?
I was when my Guru Maharaj, that day my Guru Maharaj left, the GBC were doing politics with him, They wanted to kick him out. And what happened is, there's one devotee here in Australia, Prabhupada disciple, I won't mention his name, but he was there in a room with about 6 of his godbrothers, and one big GBC, one of the biggest gurus on planet Earth in this kind, came in and he said, we've got enough votes, Gaur Govinda Swami is out. So then they were about to give my Guru Maharaj a letter on the Sunday to kick him out of ISKCON,
I don't know this one, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to kick him out because the year before, in 1995, we went to Ambika Kalna. And my Guru Maharaj was holding my hand. I was helping him to go to the bathroom. And it was just me and my Gurudev. And my Guru Maharaj holding me, looking at me, and said, Jagadish, they want me out of the society. What shall I do? And I swear to God, my throat choked up. I couldn't answer him. My Guru Maharaj so innocent, so simple, like a small child, so hurt, like my little girl complaining, Papa, Gopal did this to me. So then my Guru Maharaj went to the bathroom. Then he came, we organized prasad for him in a little room there. And, big prasadam for the devotees. We hired a bus to go to Ambika Kalna. And then again, my Guru Maharaj says, Jagadish, they want me out of the society. What should I do? And I said, Gurudev, without you, there is no ISKCON. You should stay, Gurudev. You should stay. Which was the worst thing. I wish I hadn't have told him that. Anyway, my Guru Maharaj said, I will never leave ISKCON. And other times he said, like a leech, I will never leave. Prabhupada told me to stay and cooperate.
Yeah.
So then the next year, my Guru Maharaj, he went to Gadagiri. And before he went, he told one of the brahmacharis, I'm thinking of leaving. Whatever Gopal tells me to do, I will do. Whatever his plan is, I will follow. So that was 2 weeks before the GBC meetings. Then I went with him. We flew from Bhubaneswar to Calcutta. He stayed the night in a motel room. Slept for 3 hours there. No, less than 3. Slept for 2.5 hours in the motel. He woke up as fresh as a daisy. We were half dead. 2.5 hours sleep. And he was like so fresh, sitting there chanting. I felt like a tractor had run over me. So then we went to Mayapur, and that day that Gurudev left, Gurudev took prasadam, then we took his remnants. And Gurudev was in the chair. He had his kurta on, and he had his sannyasa bib on, and he was chanting. And like this, chanting. Half an hour, just chanting up. As if having the gravest conversation with someone. And I could tell he's speaking with someone. Gurudev was so grave. And then I asked Gurudev a question about material desires, and he was saying, something about not necessarily. I was asking, the last question I asked him was, if a person has lust, will that indicate material desires? And Gurudev said, not necessarily. Anyway, I took prasad. After that, went to iron his clothes, and by 6:30 I came back, and at that time there was a giant kirtan going on, and Gurudev was lying there, and some devotees were crying, and Gurudev had left, and he left speaking this pastime. Radha's eyes fell on Krishna's eyes. Krishna's eyes fell on Radha's eyes. And then what happened? They opened up all the doors to the temple, and they went on parikram. They took Gurudev on a palanquin, and they opened up Prabhupada's Samadhi, then Prabhupada's Bhajan Kuti, then they brought him to the main temple. At that time, Panchatattva wasn't there, so it was Nrsingadev, Radha Madhav, and Prabhupada, and they 11:30 at night, they were singing the Samsara Dava prayers, and there was about 1,000 devotees. There was a lot of devotees there at Mayapur at that time, Gorpanim time. Temple room was packed. And then at about 11:45, the dacoits attacked Mayapur, and there was gunshots, gunshots firing. And then that siren, the siren that they have in India?
Yeah.
Very loud. And it was the eeriest feeling. It was as if Kali Yuga was entering, Gurudev was holding back Kali Yuga. That's immediately what I felt within my heart. Gurudev was holding back Kali Yuga. Now Gurudev has left, Kali Yuga is coming. As soon as they finished the kirtan, we took Gurudev and we drove from Mayapur to Bhubaneswar. And by the time we got there, they'd already dug the Samadhi for my Gurudev in his Bhajan Kuti. And I was embracing my Guru Maharaj. I had my arm around him the whole way back. He was on my shoulder, leaning from Mayapur to Bhubaneswar. And I was convinced that Gurudev was in Samadhi. I didn't think the Gurudev had left his body. I thought he's just in samadhi, you know, thinking of Krishna. And he was soft. He didn't feel cold at all. He just felt the same to me. I was convinced he didn't leave his body. But when we got to Bhubaneswar, I thought, well, maybe he has left. And then it set in, and I just fell apart. Two Maharajas fainted. Everyone was crying, screaming. It was like the worst scene that I'd ever seen. And then they bathed my Gurudev, painted the mantras on him. Then I asked two of my godbrothers who have come to Gurudev, Ashram Maharaj, and then what's his name, Acharya Ratna. They're two big people to go inside the samadhi. And when they put my Guru Maharaj in samadhi, nearly 24 hours later, my Guru Maharaj's body was all floppy, just like a baby's body, you know. And my mother, when she passed away, after 2 hours, I couldn't move her. She was like a piece of stone. I wanted to open her mouth and put tulsi in, nothing. Couldn't move the jaw, nothing. Her body was stiff. So one of the symptoms of Mahabhagavat, their body is very
I think same was the case with our Gurudev when we brought them from Puri to Navadip Dham. After more than 24 hours or maybe 48 hours, he was very soft still and very like warm, and you could put him in samadhi very easily.
Yeah, my Guru Maharaj's body was, and also this Bhakti Ballabha Maharaj is the same. His body also very.
So these are the symptoms you said of Mahabhagavats. They are not ordinary. Even their physical bodies, they look physical, but they are transcendental, fully transcendental. This is a proof what Prabhu is saying and what we have heard from many other people about our Gurudev, about Gaur Govind Swami and even Bhakti Vallabh Maharaj. So we should know that this process is very real, and and this their bodies are not physical like us. This is an ample proof. Even if you ask a doctor, he will not accept this, but when you see it is something out of the norm, that how their bodies, even after they depart, they are still so soft and supple for a long time, and then they are still sitting in the samadhi. Actually, they are present there. They're still not gone because the bodies are transcendental.
Oh, yeah. But listen to this, because you're saying the doctors won't believe. Well, funny you should say that, because when my Guru Maharaj left, we went to one very famous Shripi Sastra carver, you know, like a deity maker. And he was famous throughout India and got an award by the Prime Minister of India for making Mahatma Gandhi. And he went to university for 6 years to learn the science of Shripi Sastra and carving deities with metal and everything.
Okay.
So when he saw my Gurudev, he said that he doesn't fit in the category of a human being. He says there's some geometry for a human being. If his hand is this big, body's this big. If his lip is like this, the face is so big. He said there's a whole, he says your Gurudev does not fit in the geometry of a human being. And even more amazing is when he was making my Guru Maharaj, the deity of him, it was very hot. And he had to close all the windows, and he was suffering because he couldn't, my Guru Maharaj wasn't manifesting. And then he was nearly about to give up, and my Guru Maharaj came before him physically, even though my Guru Maharaj had already left this world, physically. And he said, please, you make me, my children are waiting for me. Why are you delaying? And he says, oh, it's hard because you're not manifesting. He says, don't worry, everything will go smoothly now. And then he did pranams, and when he got up, my Guru Maharaj had vanished. And he said what would have taken him months to do, he completed in one night after that. And he completed the deity of my Guru Maharaj. And then after that, he said, I will also make a deity of him for myself and worship him as well. He said, I've only done a deity of a Mahatma like this one time before, like 30, 40 years ago. One temple came, one Gaudiya temple came, and one Mahat, they wanted the deity made of him. And he wasn't manifesting, so all the devotees came and they stayed here and they did kirtan, and then he manifested. He said he was also like that, did not fit in the geometry of a human being.
Like, so true. And the thing which Prabhuji is saying, they're all transcendental affairs of these Mahatmas. They are not from this world, actually. They look like us, but they come from a different world for a special purpose, and they fulfill their purpose. They move souls like us, like Prabhuji, who are crying in this world. We are We are hankering to get something. People who are ready, only those who are pulled by these special souls. Whole world they are busy with this world, but some of these people in the world they have come at a stage after a long journey that they are crying so much, and then these big Mahatmas, they come and pull them out and help them, and then they do their task and go back to the Lord. So we should always never have Manushya Buddhi with them, that they are like us. Our Gurudev used to say, you must be thinking that he is my Gurudev, he knows a little bit more than me, he's had a good behavior, so he's my Guru. That is not a fact. He used to himself say this. He said, you will not understand what Guru is now, or however hard I try to explain you. Only when I will go, then little bit you might start understanding small. And I can see that that was a real fact. We did not understand anything of our Gurudev at that time. And we used to think exactly like what he used to say, that, yeah, he is little learned and he knows a little bit more stuff. He knows Shastras, he's a little bit more experienced. But the Guru is much more than what we think. He's Radharani's own Sevak, or Sevika rather. So I hope we can get his darshan someday. Even now we are struggling to see who our Guru was, and so that's the reason we are doing this program for so many days, almost a year, to know who he is. We want to listen from various devotees about their realizations about what he did. And it's amazing, so many people from different parts of the world have interacted in so many sweet ways. Yesterday Prabhuji came, he made Gurudev sat on a bull and a cart, and he sat there so happily and he
Yes, yes.
I mean, what not he has done for everybody out of love. So it is amazing. I mean, I could have never imagined Gurudev doing that, but he did that in Australia.
You can watch that video and you'll see me with black beard, black hair.
All right.
I'm walking alongside him. I'm so happy. Yeah, you can look at that video. Very nice.
Okay. If you have it, you can send it to me. It'll be good. If you can send a link, I'll have to find it. Okay.
Okay, I'll try and find that link.
Yeah. So you said heart of a Vaishnava is very encouraging, giving so much respect, make you feel special and important. Yes, they will. Even if you have 1% goodness in you, they will just see that, and they will increase it to 90%, 100%. They will push it, and they'll forget about rest of the 99%. They will see, oh, this is okay. He's got at least 1%, and everybody has at least 1% good in them, at least. So everybody is good to surrender to a guru. Everybody is qualified to surrender. So yes, these Vaishnavas are like that, and ours is totally opposite. Even if we see one black spot, we will be concentrating only on that. We'll forget everything else, and we'll see, look what this Vaishnava has done. What this guy, you're not seeing anything else. Look at his life, what he's doing so much for everything. But we will only be focused like bad teeth in our jaw. We'll be always thinking about it. We'll not worry about 32, 31 other teeth which are good, but one bad teeth is all the time thinking about that. So our thinking is like that. And these Vaishnavas are totally opposite of what we do. Then, you talked about Chandan Yatra, Geet Govind, and then Maharaj said Subhadra launched a complaint against me. Look at their,
against one devotee.
Against one devotee, Pujari. So look at the connection with how they speak to these deities. I mean, that there, and he had no doubt. He was shouting, yelling at the Pujari, like he did not even have an iota of doubt that maybe it is right or wrong. Maybe like Prabhuji said, he was such a nice man outwardly and he was doing everything perfect, but Maharaj came and started yelling at him. And we can never do that unless we are sure what we are doing. So he had actually talked with Subhadra, and she told Pujari, then one more Pujari wasn't changing the water of Prabhupada. And then
he wasn't changing the cup.
Yeah, then he got caught. So you cannot fool these Mahabhagavas. They know everything what is happening. Like Prabhuji said about our Gurudev, his eyes will pierce you and you will immediately feel uncomfortable because you know he knows your all anarthas. Immediately it is in front of him. What you've been doing, what you're doing, what you're going to do in future. Everything he sees. So our hair is on fire. We run for water. Water is prem jal from Gurudev. Even Krishna will not give this. Very, very true. Krishna will not give this prem jal. Only Guru will give, so that we can remove our fires. So we should first surrender to Gurudev. Dissipate the darkness. Sun is needed. So we need to hear from the sadhu like this. So first you hear the kirtan, then you first you hear, then you do kirtan. This is the process.
That's right.
Our Gurudev used to say the same thing. But our problem is we always want to do kirtan. We never want to hear anything. Out of our ahankar, false ego, we just want to tell everybody. We want to teach everyone, not want to learn anything. So what are you going to teach if you're not going to learn? You're only going to teach Maya. You're only going to do Maya Kirtan, like Gurudev used to say Maya Kirtan. Then you told the Gokarn Katha very nicely. Nam Aparad, inattentive chanting you talked. So when you ask what is my problem, what aparad, you done some Vaishnava, I said, no, Nam Aparad, you're doing inattentive chanting. So Guru is Vaidya. He's a doctor. He knows what your problem is and what your treatment is also. Then quoting from the newspaper, yes, these Guru Mahatmas, they don't read newspaper like we do. They read newspaper and they are, even by reading, they are remembering of the different world. So many incidents I have about other acharyas also. My time is less, so I will not tell them. But then their reading of newspaper is very different from what we read. Our Gurudev always used to read newspaper in the morning. I remember when he came to our house here, he asked for a Hindi newspaper. We said we have English. Then I went to my neighbor. They used to get Hindi. So he would read a Hindi newspaper. Every day he would know what is happening in the world. But their reading is totally different from what ours is. Better to remain in animal yoni than to have duplicity. Better to become insect. And I think everybody, all of us have duplicity in different amounts. Childlike simplicity is needed for bhajan. Sort of nice tattva you told today, Prabhuji. Suspicion leads to suspension.
Oh,
Sanshaya Atma Vinashyati. In Sanskrit, in Gita, it says,
yes.
Sanshaya Atma
The doubting
Vinashyati.
soul, he falls down.
Yes.
Never
Then
happy.
Four visions: see good in others, bad in others, good and bad together, and good in others, even very small. Heart of Vaishnava is always encouraging. And then the thought that yes, I deserve this. Whatever situation we are in, it is our work only, not somebody else's work. We have worked for it. We have asked for it. We are getting it now. So don't cry and don't blame anybody. It's I deserve it. So Gurudev gave example by me hitting myself. He should. Then he said he can see everything. Don't take off those clothes. He gave you order. Then you are heavy with your wife. What do you want? Why have you come? He pinned you against the wall. This is so funny. When you went to the door, he opened the door, and then he pushed you to the wall. And said, I was a policeman. I mean, which guru will do like this? So intimate pastimes. Which one? No, I think because they normally, I've heard in ISKCON, the gurus, they're very, very high and people cannot even approach them. But here is a guru who opens door for you and who's holding you to the wall and talking to you like this, like a very close friend. I was a policeman. So how much love Gurudev used to give to everybody. And you told, and we were with Gurudev, we never thought that we are going to die or we are going to get sick. Yes, with being with Gurudev, we have a feeling like you are so elevated, so full of energy. You forget everything, what is happening around you. You forget the whole world and you are in a different realm altogether. I remember doing parikrama with Gurudev and it used to be like you're a different planet altogether. Different feeling every time. Every time Krishna, Kirtan, Harikatha, Prasad, always something like this. So you thought you entered another planet. Then you talked about the festival at Braj Vallabh, Prabhu's property. Maya could not touch anyone. You felt so safe. That is why this feeling will come with a real true Vaishnava. It is like sitting in the lap of your mother without any fear. No, you will have no worries. And if you go to a Vaishnava and you are worried, oh, what this guy is going to say, what he's going to think, so that means he's not a real Vaishnava. That means your heart is not stressless. But you go to a real Vaishnava, you'll feel very relaxed, and then you'll feel that, oh, now I'm in this lap, he can look after me very nicely. So which feeling you described here. And you're good. Maharaj said, one day you will see Krishna and Balram sitting in your lap.
Yes.
And then you talked about Gurudev's Leela with a lady who came and asked her, I always have fear of death. And Gurudev told some words and tears came rolling down, even from a person who looks like a non-devotee. Few words melted her heart. All were crying, not only she. Look at the power of her words, power of his words. Yeah. How much power words of a pure Vaishnava has. I mean, not only she was crying, but the people around Gurudev are also.
Prabhu, I was also crying.
So, because they are potent words, they are not words of this world. They are filled with love and affection. I have captured your heart and kept it in my pocket. He used to tell. So many times he has told this, and he actually has done that. Singapore, he told you not to joke and not to. One day, I remember Gurudev, somebody asked, Gurudev, can we joke amongst devotees? So I remember that he said, yes, you can joke, but amongst equals, but not so much, little bit. He's saying in limit. You should not go out of the limit, but amongst equals. You should not joke with your seniors and you should not joke with your juniors, because they can make out different meaning out of it, and you should not joke too much. Little bit you can joke. He said like that. So he was very strict against, very strict and everything. And you told about this very beautiful original instrument is the ankle belt of gopis. Instrument should never be louder than the kirtan. Yes, but people don't understand. They are just banging and banging and banging. Where's the sweetness?
These are Gurudev's words, they're not my words.
No, you're very right. Absolutely right. I totally agree with it. So kirtan should be from the heart. I wanted to share a Gurudev's clip about what kirtan should be. I shared on my YouTube channel, Fond Memories of Srila Gurudev. Those of you who are not on this, you should subscribe. So listen to what Gurudev is saying, what kirtan should be. Where is it? How to do kirtan. I hope I'm just going to play it for you. It is a 1 or 2 minute clip.
Tears come, and here standing, heart melting, then yes, no, you have no. Only Dhyan will not do. Only harmonium and very melodious tone will not do. If it is coming from heart, Gauranga. Oh, Rangadev, you should be merciful to me. Oh, Nityananda Prabhu, my heart is not melting. Practice will not do anything. His mercy will do. So we should cry, weep for mercy, as the child weeps for the mother's breast. It has nothing. He cannot move, he cannot go run and catch hold of his mother. So if we will chant Krishna name, God's name, and really from heart, core of the heart, then tear will come, our heart will be melted, and it will be pure. Everything will go with tears. Everything.
So you heard that how to do kirtan, but tears are not coming, hair is not standing, heart is not melting. Why? Because you're not doing from heart. He said you have to cry like a baby. You're... Oh, what's that? Sorry. I'm sorry. This is wait. Yeah. So he's saying we have to cry like a baby who cannot do anything, who cannot move by himself or herself, and she cries for mother. So that is the way to do kirtan. That's what you described here, Prabhuji. How to do kirtan, how it should be very coming from the heart, and for the pleasure of the Lord, not for our pleasure. We are doing kirtan for our own pleasure. We enjoy it. We don't enjoy. We do seva. Kirtan is seva, actually, not enjoyment. And in that seva we have sukh. In that seva we have enjoyment. We can enjoy the seva, but we cannot enjoy. We are not bhoktas, but we are sevaks. But in sevaks there is a happiness. So we are right to that happiness, but not to right to enjoy the world. So where is for the sweet pleasure of the Lord, for pleasure of Guru and Gauranga, souls are crying for the Lord. Then he said, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, what should I do? This was your question. So we should know what questions to ask actually when to go to Gurudev, when to go to a elevated Vaishnava. We normally don't ask. We ask, oh Gurudev, my job is not good. I'm not. We tell him our sansaric problems. But see what Prabhuji is asking. He's saying, what shall I do? What should I do to elevate my bhajan? This is the question we need to ask Gurudev. And he's expert in these. He's not expert in your job or on getting how much money you should earn. So Then
Prabhu, can I share with you about my Guru Maharaj in the newspaper? Because I forgot it, but you made me remember.
okay.
One day I went
very
into
quickly, Prabhuji. We have very less time. I think it's
yeah, very good. I went into my Guru Maharaj's room and he's reading the newspaper. And I said to my Guru Maharaj, imagine me, Gurudev, why are you reading a newspaper?
okay.
Can you imagine you telling Guru, why are you reading newspaper?
You are
So
bold, I must say.
Huh?
You are very bold, or you're very close to your Gurudev. Only a person who's very intimate with Gurudev can say like this.
Gurudev, exactly. Gurudev, why are you reading newspaper?
So what he said?
He says, you see, Prabhupada ordered me to do Oriya Bhakti Godhead. So he said, to do this back to Godhead in Oriya, you should know what is worldly news and inculcate that with the world news into the preaching. So, because Prabhupada told me to do, I'm doing, following his order.
Yeah. So they yeah.
Huh?
They don't read newspaper like we do. We are interested in
Oh my
worldly
God,
affairs.
I felt like such an idiot. I felt so bad. I wanted to hit myself. Why ask this question for? But what to do? It was in my heart, and my Guru Maharaj could see I had some doubt that if he's a guru, why he's reading a newspaper. But once my Guru Maharaj answered with so much humility, I just hated myself. And another time we're talking about love. Listen to this. The first time I met Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, he was in a big room, like the bedroom there in Mayapur. He was upstairs in his room, and I walked in. I'd never seen him before, and just looking at him, Prabhu, just like a stream, just falling down, tears. Didn't know anything. I knew he was an old Vaishnav. Started to cry. Couldn't help myself. I came up to him. I embraced him and put my head on his lap.
Oh, wow.
First time, didn't know him. Never talked to him before. Crying, I embraced him and just put my head on his lap and wouldn't let him go.
Prabhuji, this is the power of pure Vaishnav. I just few days back, we observed his appearance day, Pujapad Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. And I was very fortunate to be in Vrindavan that time. And I visited his Samadhi there in the Gopinath Mutt. And Prabhuji, you will not believe, I was at the Samadhi and I was crying. I don't know why. It feels like just being next to his Samadhi is so powerful.
Prabhu, with his hand was like silk. His hand was so soft, like a baby's bum, like so soft. He got his hand and like this, patting me for like 5-10 minutes. I'm not on his leg for like 5-10 minutes. He's just patting me. And you know what he told me? Don't be impatient. Be patient. Love of God is not the play of a small child.
Oh, wow.
Your guru is giving you Krishna, but you have not realized him yet. Be patient. Don't be impatient. And then he started singing the Sringadev prayers.
Wow.
Singing the Sringadev prayers and just patting me. And then I just fell in love with him. He stole my heart. You can't imagine, he just stole my heart. Prabhu, I felt like a prostitute. I thought I betrayed my guru. I've given my love to another Vaishnav. So I thought I have to convince. I felt like a prostitute. Here I am with my guru and I've run off for someone else, you know? So I went back to my guru and I said, Gurudev, is it okay if I go and see Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj? My Guru Maharaj with a smile. I have no objection. You may go. I have no objection. So then I didn't feel so bad anymore. But what I've learned is you love them all the same. That's the thing.
Yes, because Guru Tattva is one and Krishna is one. His love is one, unified. And wherever you get this love from, we will be attracted regardless. Because
how? I never met him before. I never met him. I just saw him. And he's an old man like this. I mean, he's not the greatest looking person, but how is it? My heart melting and my heart beating, and I just want to embrace him. Where did that come from?
Yes. So this is the thirst of the soul to get the pure love. We are hankering for it from many births, but every time we get delusion. We think we have gotten love this time, but we get the only delusion. an illusion. But only when we meet great Mahabhagavats like this, that our heart feels satisfied and we feel like surrendering to that person, that personality, because he is embodiment of that pure love, which we do not see anywhere. We only see false love. We see love-coated duplicity, actually, love-coated selfishness. Everybody looks outwardly, feel like they are lovers so much, but inside they have motives. But when we meet a guru like this, a very evolved Vaishnavas, then we see pure love, a person who has no motive, who has nothing, no other desire, only to love. He just loves us for no reason. He just wants to think good of us for no reason. They want to give everything to us. Our Gurudev used to say, make your life like a sandalwood and keep rubbing it unless it vanishes for the sake of Vaishnavas. Give everything for Vaishnavas. And he gave his own life, everything for Vaishnavas. Didn't ask anything for return. In fact, people criticize him in return, actually. Those people who used to criticize him, he used to give blessings to them and tell us not to criticize, not to think bad of anybody. The people who are asking him to not come to their temple, he will think good for them. And he will tell us not to think bad for anybody. So such humble, such full of love these people are. They're overflowing with love. Anybody who goes near them will get a drop of love automatically, without even doing anything, without trying. Just by being in mere presence of such high Mahabhagavat devotees, you will be also elevated. So our only kartabya, our only duty is to be somehow be near to such people, be near to them, be around them, do something for them, give our life for them if we can, if we are capable. But if you cannot give our life, at least be near them, be close to them, you will be benefited without even asking anything. So it was really nice, Prabhuji, and you talked so nice things about Pujapad Haridas Sen Babaji Maharaj, which was also, I can't say how much lucky you are, fortunate you are to have met so many people. Even if you have one person, pure devotee in your life is made. But here we have a personality, Jagdish Pandit Prabhuji, who has met 3-4 of them, pure Vaishnavas. Not only met, but he's got pat for like minutes from Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj and nursing their prayers. So how much mercy you can get? So you can imagine such high Vaishnav patting you like this, and his merciful glance is good enough for everything. He will give everything in that merciful glance. So I offer my Dandat Pranams to you, Prabhuji. Have some mercy on us so that we can do some bhajan. And
Prabhu, can I ask you a question, Prabhu?
Yes.
Prabhu, you're there in the Holy Dham in India. Please tell me which sadhu you're going to so I can come there one day and meet him also.
Oh. I came from Canada. I was in Canada for a year and a half, and I was feeling I had a strong urge to come to India. I heard one class from Sanjay Prabhu, and he stole my heart, and I said I have to associate with this person. And right now I'm with this Sanjay Prabhuji. He's a very young person, much younger than what I am, but he's much grown up than what I am actually. And he served our Gurudev very intimately. I also associate with so many sadhus here, sannyasi like Pujapa Sridhar Maharaj and other people, Pujapa Siddhanti Maharaj. But Sanjay Prabhu has a special place in my heart.
Oh, please. Does he speak in English?
Yeah, he speaks English, but he doesn't speak very much. He doesn't want to speak. He doesn't want to come in limelight. He wants to remain hidden. And
you don't have any classes of him on your video?
You have. You can search for it, Sanjay Prabhu, and you'll find it. You heard. You hear his talking about our Gurudev for, I think he's got 4 lectures there. Somebody recorded. Probably that was the first time he spoke. He never spoke when he was with Gurudev. He was like a young boy, serving Gurudev like anything. We have Hemant Prabhu here. You can ask him. Hemant Prabhu is listening on this program from USA. He has met him, and he spoke very nicely about him also. And he also has great regard for him. So,
thank you.
Hemant Prabhu, would you like to say something? If you are here, you can unmute yourself if you want. Anyway, yeah, he's there.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. Prabhuji, video भी on कर लो. Prabhuji को बता दो थोड़ा.
एक सेकंड.
हम लोग तो घायल है. हालांकि प्रोग्राम लंबा हो गया, लेकिन कोई बात नहीं. So Prabhuji, he is Hemant Prabhu, Jagdish Prabhu, he is Hemant Prabhu from USA. And he
Oh.
met Sanjay Prabhuji when Gurudev was doing a sickness pastime in 2010. And he can describe something of him, probably.
So he stole my heart. Like I never knew them. That was my first time. And I saw like everybody was serving in 2010 in Govardhan. I was very new, didn't know much of the Vaishnav etiquettes. I met only Gurudev in 2007. So not raised in a Vaishnav culture. So I didn't know much, but somehow Gurudev loved me very much. And I was in his room in 2010 in Govardhan. And I saw like there is a thing which is a state imprinted in my heart and my mind and my soul. And that was the service done by Pujapad Madhapriya Prabhu and Pujapad Sanjay Prabhu. There was others also, Deja Prabhu and Siddhanti Maharaji and all that. But the way Gurudev used to, like Sanjay Prabhu used to pick Gurudev up in his arms. Sanjay Prabhu was very young, maybe in his 20s at that time, and very tall, skinny. And he used to pick Gurudev like a baby. And Gurudev used to just close his eyes and like this, head like this. And he used to just 100% comfortable in his arms. And he used to read Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavatam and things like that to Gurudev. They used to do a lot of their personal services. And when Gurudev was, at that time, I didn't know. I was too naive or too stupid or too. But Gurudev was doing a lot of Ashtasattvik Leela. So the some kind of a fanny or some kind of a thing used to come a lot from Gurudev's mouth. So they used to put their finger in Gurudev's mouth and used to take that foam out. And it used to go on for hours and for days. And I'm like, I didn't realize what it is. And then sometime Gurudev used to cry and then he used to wipe tears and massage. And yes, I didn't know them at all, my first trip, but I have a very dear memories of how they used to serve and how Gurudev used to completely surrendered into their arms, his arms, especially Sanjay Prabhu's arm. And yes, I am a very, very big fan of him. He, like in our entire Sangha, if somebody speaks that highly of Srila Gurudev, like most of his lectures are in Hindi, and very few, they're not much on. We've been begging him to speak more and more. But if he is speaking of any tattva, any appearance or disappearance day, 90% of his class is going to be glorifying Srila Gurudev. And that catches my heart, that melts my heart, and that is how strong appreciation and how strong of I truly adore him. I'm very scared of him too. Like I'm not as advanced as Ajay Prabhuji, but because I know I do so much nonsense, don't follow all these rules and everything. Even though we should, but I have so much guilt, and I definitely am scared of him. But I do have a lot of high regard for him, and I feel like. Yes, Gurudev did told us, me actually personally in 2010, I asked him this question that after you, who? And Gurudev did look at all these brahmacharis and everything. And, he told me that anybody who has my association, even for 6 months, he will be very powerful in future. He will know so much tattva and siddhanta than anybody else. So you will have no problem finding someone in future. But I'm pretty sure he was mentioning about all these brahmacharis who was in the room and serving and reading and flawless seva. It's unbelievable how Sukritis and I don't know. I'm not qualified. I still live in this Maya world and very fallen, but yes, I do have a huge regard
So
for Sanjay.
Prabhuji, thank you, Prabhuji, Hemant Prabhu, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Jagdish Pandit Prabhu, thank you so much. You heard, these are our personal feelings. It has nothing to do with anything. This is how I feel. Since because you asked what are you doing? So you asked me a personal question, and this is my personal answer. I don't
Thank
say
you,
for
sir.
anybody else, but this is how I feel. This is how Hemant Prabhu feels for himself. We are not realized. We are fallen souls. We may be wrong also, but this is how we feel like this. Because you asked me a personal question, I gave you a personal answer. It is everybody has their own personal likings and dislikings, and everybody is free to choose what they like. I'm not saying there are many more sadhus. Like Gurudev said, anybody who associates with me for 6 months will be a great sadhu, and we have so many of them here. But sometimes you click with somebody so well. So
Yes.
it is my personal. It's not that I'm saying that he's the only person. There are so many more. But
Yes, yes,
who you
I
click
understand.
with, who you talk to, who you go around with, and who steals your heart, it is up to you. So I am no position to advise anybody or give my opinion.
No,
Because you
yeah.
asked me a
Thank you
personal
so
question, so I said that. I want to clarify. It is not a general thing for anybody. It's just for myself. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I offer my pronouns to you and also to your.
This is the best way to live our life, to glorify the sadhus. Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams to your family and to yourself. Dandavat pranams to all the listeners who've been listening so patiently for so long. And tomorrow's program I will announce later. If morning 6 o'clock, we'll meet again. Thank you so much. Dandavat pranams.
Hare Krishna.
श्री गुरु
Dandavad.
महाराज की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री
Hare
हरिनाम
Bol.
संकीर्तन की जय, श्री गुरुदेव की मधुर स्मृतियों की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि
Hare
हरि।
Bol.